Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain Friend Zone. This movie tells the story of two friends who actually harbor feelings of love for each other, but try to hide it. After 10 years of being friends, will any of them finally decide to confess their love? Let's find out in Friend Zone. Friend Zone tells the story of a high school girl named Gink. One morning, she was driven to school by her father who seemed in a hurry. Instead of going to her class, Gink jumps the fence and gets into her friend's car, whose name is Palm. That day Gink and Palm skipped school because she suspected her father had an affair. They followed her father who headed for the airport instead of work. There, they decided to buy plane tickets and went to Chiang Mai. When the plane landed in Chiang Mai, they continued to sneak up on Gink's father who went upstairs to a hotel and into a room. Gink slipped into the next room which happened to be being cleaned. She tries to hear her father's conversation in the next room through the wall, but Palm suggests they go home because he's afraid of getting in trouble. Gink kept trying to listen to her father's conversation until Palm could finally hear them. Gink's father indeed had an affair. But then, Palm forbids Gink from confronting her father. Gink, who was about to bang on her father's door, complied, and they headed back home to Bangkok. While on the plane to Bangkok, Gink cried while covering her face with a blanket. Palm tries to comfort her, and Gink cries in his arms. Then, Palm confesses his love for Gink. But Gink questions what kind of love did he mean. Palm replies that he loves her as a friend. It would be better to be friends, he said. That way, they wouldn't fight and wouldn't be separated. Gink cried even louder. But since then, they continue to be friends and go about their school days as usual. Not long after, Gink was seen having a boyfriend named Louis. Even so, the friendship between Gink and Palm still continues. They often spend time together. They sing together, have romantic dinners, go on vacation, and even take a bath together. A few years later, in 2019, they were attending a wedding. Gink sings at the party, while Palm and his friends stand at a distance. Palm's friends ask how his relationship with Gink started, from being close friends to finally deciding to get married. Palm tells about his past, starting in 2017, when Gink had just broken up with Louis after dating for 8 years. Palm will always come if Gink needs him. So he comes to Gink's house to cheer her up and sings her a song that makes her smile again. Palm was also willing to take Gink wherever she went, not to mention taking her to her work in the recording studio. And one day, a singer who was doing a recording session suddenly told Gink not to waste her time with love. Gink agreed and promised never to date again. As the two of them cycle the next day, Palm asks if Gink is serious about not dating again. But Gink still believed that a good man was still waiting for her out there. Palm smiled happily at that. In 2018, Gink has a new boyfriend, Ted, who works as a music producer. One night, Gink attends a party where Palm and Ted are also there. Ted was so excited to sing that he finally asked Gink to sing along. However, because she was not careful, Gink fell off the stage. When the ambulance arrived, they only allowed one person to accompany Gink in the ambulance. Ted and Palm both wanted to get into the ambulance. However, Gink prefers Ted. She asks Palm to stay and enjoy the party. Despite his disappointment, Palm lets Gink go with Ted. One day, Palm is on vacation with his girlfriend to Yangon, Myanmar, even though he was never really serious about the relationship. The only woman in his heart is Gink. And coincidentally, while he was with his girlfriend, Gink suddenly called Palm, telling him that she was sick and was vomiting. She also still hasn't had her period yet. All these signs made her think that she might be pregnant. However, she is currently in Kuala Lumpur. Panicked, Palm rushes after Gink to Malaysia. Arriving at Gink's hotel, Palm immediately asked her to use a pregnancy test pack. He even waited for her, standing behind the toilet door. A few moments later, the results came out. Gink is not pregnant. Gink later admitted that she was very stressed because she suspected Ted was having an affair. Currently Ted is working on an album where the singers are from various Asian countries. Gink couldn't go with him because her leg was still in the cast. Her suspicions began when she found a receipt for a meal at a luxury restaurant. She thought Ted had had dinner with one of the singers. Finally, they decided to eat at the restaurant and interrogate the waiters. However, the servants couldn't clearly remember if Ted had ever been there. To cheer up Gink, Palm mimicked Ted's style, as if they were in the scene when Ted dined there. Gink even plays a singer who seduces Ted. They spent the whole night in the restaurant, laughing together. Later, Palm drove Gink back to the hotel. Gink said that she was going to Cambodia to catch up with Ted. Pom himself will return to work as a flight attendant. Gink said that she was very happy to have a friend like Pom when parting ways. On the other hand, Pom just smiled bitterly as he hugged her. Long story short, Gink followed Ted to Cambodia, where she followed Ted into a recording session with a singer. Upon their return to the hotel, Gink keeps looking for evidence of Ted's affair. Her chance came while Ted was asleep. She unpacked Ted's suitcase and found a condom pack that was missing one piece. Meanwhile, Pom is dumped by his girlfriend just as he is about to leave on duty at the airport. But at this moment, Pom accidentally sees Gink at the airport. Gink tells him that she will fly to Hong Kong to spy on Ted, who she suspects is having an affair with a singer named Joyce. Then, they separated again. Unexpectedly, Gink joined Pom's plane. In the end, the two of them went to Hong Kong together. Arriving in Hong Kong, they had dinner right in front of the recording studio. Gink calls Ted, who says he'll be back at the hotel once the recording is over. But from the window, Gink saw Ted exit the studio accompanied by a woman. She hurriedly followed him to the hotel. Apparently, Gink and Pom got to the hotel first, and they decided to wait for him in the lobby. There, Pom helps Gink remove the cast covering her leg, saying she's so suspicious of Ted that she's obsessed with it. After hours of waiting, a woman got off a taxi and stopped in the hotel lobby. Gink closed her eyes, not wanting to see what would happen. But the woman came down with an old man, not Ted. Gink was getting worried. She called Ted many times, but he didn't answer her calls. Then Pom gave Gink his cell phone. It's possible, if the caller is from an unknown number, Ted will pick up. Pom's guess is right. Ted picked up the phone. Gink immediately hung up the phone and fell into complete silence, fully convinced that Ted had been having an affair. Finally, they left the hotel and traveled around in an open-top double-decker bus. Gink was still silent, expressionless face, staring up at the sky. Even Pom's attempts to cheer her up failed miserably. Gink couldn't think straight anymore, especially when she remembered what happened when she saw the woman with Ted in the taxi. As the bus passed a billboard, Gink suddenly stood on her bench and leapt up, grabbing the billboard that ran across the street. Luckily, the bus backs off, allowing Pom to catch Gink and coax her off the pole. Then, the two of them hugged each other on the bus. Because of this incident, they were arrested by the police. After Gink calmed down, Pom left because he had an early flight tomorrow. But Gink didn't want to be alone at a time like this. In the end, she went with him on the morning flight to Thailand. After the first flight, in which the plane lands in Krabi, Gink asks Pom to accompany her. However, Pom still has a day flight with a route to Bangkok. Gink drops off at Krabi, with Pom promising to come back to pick her up after his afternoon flight to Bangkok. After finishing the job, Pom rushed to catch a flight back to Krabi and met Gink in the hotel room. Gink was already looking a mess, though she could still joke, saying that this was the face of all the women Pom dumped. After that, Pom took Gink's cosmetic box and put her makeup on to make her look fresh. They then exited the hotel and hiked through the forest. Gink tells Pom to stop being a playboy who often changes girlfriends. She simply replied that she felt sorry for all the women Pom dumped. Arriving at the top of the hill, while asking for Pom's cell phone, Gink asked how many women he had asked out. Instead of answering, Pom said that Gink seemed to be jealous. Gink's cheeks immediately flushed when she heard that. They continued their journey by motorbike. But their journey was stopped when a monkey appeared in front of them. Startled, Pom stopped the motorbike and Gink immediately jumped from the motorbike. She ran away because the monkeys were about to attack them. But before she can run far, Pom tells her to get back on the motorbike. Thinking she had climbed into his ride, Pom stepped on the gas. He didn't know Gink was still behind and the monkey was sitting in the backseat. Realizing his mistake, Pom immediately turned around to pick up Gink, who shouted angrily. Gink's stomach suddenly began to churn in the middle of the trip. They had to stop again beside a river. But after that, Gink was confused because she didn't bring a tissue. Pom offers the socks he's wearing, but she refuses. Unexpectedly, he took off his shirt and threw it at her to use it to clean her butt. They continued their journey to the city center. People on the street laughed at Pom riding a motorcycle shirtless. Pom accompanied Gink all day, where they stopped by the beach in the afternoon. They listened to a song together, but Gink hates the song Ted wrote for her. So Pom replaced the song's lyrics with a new one, which made Gink smile. After hearing the song, Pom smoothed Gink's hair, and they both looked at each other. It was getting late. Gink invited Palm to return to her hotel room. But before that, Palm stopped by a convenience store where his eyes fell on the condoms neatly lined up beside the cashier. Although hesitant at first, in the end he bought it. Arriving at the room, Gink had prepared a bathtub mixed with beer and invited Palm to take a bath together. Then, she washed Palm's hair from behind, and their gazes met like they were about to kiss. However, Gink couldn't force that feeling yet. Palm understood it too. They need time, because they have been friends for a long time. But then, Palm gets angry when Gink questions why Ted cheats on other women so easily. He realized that he was only being used. As a result, they had a big fight. Finally, after they regained their composure, they ended their bickering. They promised to go to Europe to see the Northern Lights someday. Before falling asleep, Palm asks Gink to meet him at the temple if she breaks up with Ted. Sometime later, Gink accompanied Ted, working on a recording album in Myanmar. Gink watched Ted smile happily as he was with the singer. It made Gink's anger explode. She took the microphone and interrogated Ted about the woman he was with in Hong Kong. Ted, who had been caught red-handed, finally admitted that he had made a mistake. Then he apologizes to Gink as she is about to leave him. Gink was willing to forgive Ted. She would even give him one more chance. As per their promise, Gink meets Palm at a temple. There, Gink said that she would give Ted one more chance. Palm was devastated to hear what she said. He regretted that he was satisfied with just being friends with Gink when he was in high school. Gink chases after Palm, saying that Palm is the most important man in her life. Maybe they wouldn't last until now if they were dating. But Palm was already disappointed. Without saying much more, he left her. While crying, Gink kept calling for Palm, but he didn't look back one bit. Since then they have not seen each other again. One day, while shopping at the supermarket with Ted, Gink heard a song she and Palm had listened to at the beach. She remembers all the funny things they had together from high school to the time she hung on an advertising pole in Hong Kong and the fact that Palm was the only one who was always by her side when she was going through the worst times in her life. She only felt a tremendous sense of loss when she couldn't see Palm anymore. One day, Gink saw Palm cycling alone. She chased after him with all her might before telling him that she had broken up with Ted. Palm immediately asked if it was because Ted had another affair. Gink replies that their relationship is fine, but she decides to go to Europe to see the Northern Light with Palm. Gink felt that they could no longer be friends. She wants to marry Palm right away because she loves him with all her heart. At the end of the film, Palm ends his story with his friends, saying that's how he's been with Gink for 10 years. Palm's friends wept to hear that. Then, Palm approached Gink, asking where the ring he had given her was. A panicked Gink calls for help, and everyone in the party helps her find the ring. After a while, Palm finally found it. He proposed to Gink again by pinning the ring on her ring finger. The message in this film is that a man and a woman who are friends will find it difficult to maintain their relationship because they usually end up living together and getting married.